All right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon Stream. I'm Pugs Moran, and we do this every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever the news runs out. That's what we say. Sometimes it goes a couple hours, sometimes a little bit less than a couple hours. Sometimes it goes more than a couple hours. It all depends. Apologize for the late start today. However, with that said, there's a story that goes along with it. Come on in, everybody. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Get yourself situated there in the chat room. We got Adam coming in. We got Al. We got Taronda. We got all the regulars. Grab yourself a beanbag chair, pull it into your soul circle, and let's get started to have some serious discourse. Some not so serious discourse, whatever. Boy, Friday night was great. We went to Roller Town. We went to Roller Town. That's Ben and Skin's place up there in Salina. We had a lot of fun. It was really. I don't get out much. It was a wonderful evening. Just all the kids. You had the Parker kids. The Parker kids, of course, are the spawn of my evening show partner. That's right. We do this in the evenings, too. We do it at 9 o'clock. It's called Bugs and Parker. It's more conversational. This is all about hot topics, current events, and all that stuff, and getting you up to speed on what people are talking about. The 9 o'clock show is just me and Parker, just chopping it up, just being, talking about stuff. But we all went out to Roller Town on Friday night. And, man, what a great turnout. Beautiful night. I'm not a beer guy. Like, I drink beer, but, I like Michelob Ultra. I find, anything that's not a real American working man beer to taste a little funny. You know what I mean? I like your Millers. I like your Coors. I like your Buds. What's next? I'm gonna start drinking like beer that people make in their garage, and then doing my mustache with like crazy little curls. I don't know. It all seems connected somehow. Anyway, we had a great time. Saw a whole bunch of people. It was so nice to see everybody. Ben and Skin are so nice. That was like their wedding. It's like their event. It's their thing. There are people there all over the place. They hung out with us all night. They were just with us. They were just like, what nice guys. I mean, the hospitality, that place, it's far from me. It's far for me to get up there. So I can't make it my regular Tuesday night hang. Well, what a great concept. What a great, and I got to tell you, so jealous of what Ben and Skin have done. I mean, they have really built a little empire out of the platform they were provided by local Dallas radio. And I didn't do it. So jealousy, what do we know about jealousy from therapy? Well, we know that jealousy, when funneled properly, can be turned into inspiration. So that's what we're going with. I find Ben and Skin inspirational. Anyway, thank you to them for being so kind to us. Keynote was out there. Keynote was hanging out with, just a lot of people were out there. We saw a whole bunch of people. Brandon from Sunbrew, my old buddy Brandon, he showed up. A bunch of people showed up. So good to see you. And we're gonna do this more. We're gonna do it more in like a closer location so that we can all hang out, something like that. But we'll do another get together. So it was a lot of fun, and we had one. Actually, the weekend itself was just amazing. And this is going to explain why we had the late start today. So we had me and my boy. It was me and my boy weekend. So it being that time of the year, it was baseball weekend. We were like baseball crazy. You were watching Ranger game. What did I tell you about the Rangers? I know it's early. I know. But still, I'm just saying. The Rangers are not going to suck. They may not win, but they aren't going to suck. They're going to play really well. They're going to hit a lot. They're going to score a lot of runs. Anyway, it was baseball weekend. Rangers, White Sox. Oh, my White Sox in a bare-knuckled brawl with the defending world champion Houston Astros. On the road, rough way to open the season with 4 against the defending champs. But damn it, we split with them, 2-2. And you know what? That's all a kid like me can ask for. So we're having a pretty good baseball weekend. Then Saturday afternoon, all afternoon, like 5 hours. It was beautiful. At the cages there at Topgolf, because my kid's now like a baseball kid, which is interesting to me because he's a football meathead, right? And he's big. Like, he's a big kid. He's the biggest kid in his class. Now, don't get that confused because you're looking at me and you're like, oh, he's probably fat. He's not fat. He's big. Like, his shoulders are broad. He looks like a 13-year-old jock kid who plays offensive guard on his, team. I mean, he's just big. He's big. So, as it turns out, he doesn't get to play a lot of baseball. He's never played organized baseball. But with his friends knocking it around and stuff, he's like, Dad, I can really hit the ball far. So we go to the batting cages from time to time, and he's never been good. He's been a kid who has never been to a batting cage before. And, he goes a couple of times, he's up there, he's hacking. But man, I will tell you, it is absolutely confirmed in my history that when the off occasions when he did grab one, he crushed it. I mean, he's got power. So we went and we spent all day in the cages and we taught him basic batting technique and all that shit. And my God, he crushed it. So then Sunday was about defense. Sunday was about shagging flies and pop-ups and all. So we spent all day doing that. Now, why, Pugs, did you start the show 20 minutes late is what you're all asking. I'm going to show you why. Can you guys see that? Hold on, let me make sure you can see that properly. There you go. There you go. Can you see that? Let's see if we can get it in closer. Yeah, there we go. That's my ankle. That's why the show was late to start, because that's my ankle. You know why? Because my boy crushed one, and I went back to field it, and I was playing short outfield, and I turned to get this ball that was traveling over my head, and I thought I had a chance to catch it. And my brain said, hey, you're 17, you can do this. And my body said, you're about to celebrate your 54th birthday coming up in July. Or is it 53? I don't even know, I stopped counting. Anyway, and those two things, they got into a fight inside my body, and the end result was this. They decided we're not going to break the ankle, but we are going to severely sprain it, and we're going to swell it to about the size of, I have got like a 16-inch softball. You can't really tell from the definition on that picture, but basically I've got a 16-inch softball on my leg, and I can barely walk. So I do apologize, but I was doing some soaking. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. It's been wrapped and it's been packed in ice. So look, I'm sorry. And you know how Mondays are. Mondays were always a little bit late anyway because my kid uses the room where the studio is, and I have to unpack all the important stuff and hide it so that he doesn't, get Red Bull on it or whatever the hell it is. He's bubble gum. So I do apologize. Chris Cohn says, dude, I kicked a dog toy out of the way the other day. Ankle is trashed from it. Yeah, man. It only gets worse, brother. It gets worse. Barney says, I don't always roll a joint, but when I do, it's usually my ankle. Solid. Yeah, Frank, that's my ankle. Yeah, my ankle. So I'm screwed. And I have to do something right now because in my rush to get everything proper for the show while doing it on one leg, I left my drink. So if you'll give me a second, my drink is all the way over there. So I've got to go and hobble over and grab it or else, I'm going to suffer some cotton mouth. Oh, and the dog is now. As soon as I stand up, the dog's on my way. Get away. I'm a hopper. Come on, move. Nope, you're not going out, stupid. You want to know what the worst part was? So apparently, the way I fell, and I fell in a hole. I stepped in a hole. That's how I twisted my ankle. The ball was coming, and I turned to come back and get it this way, and my right foot went right in a hole, and I rolled my ankle. And the worst part of it was, my 13-year-old son, apparently, it was the funniest thing that he had ever seen in his life. He literally doubled over and sat down on home plate laughing at me as I writhed in pain. And I'm okay, at some point I'm listening to him laugh, right? And I've done this happens to me a lot. I've got chicken ankles, I've broken ankles, it's my life story. So I'm in pain and I'm writhing in pain and I'm on the ground and I'm not making any noise or anything. But I hear him cackling. Ha, 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 ha. Oh my God, that was hysterical. I'm hearing that. I'm in short center and he's at home plate, so I'm hearing that. And so now I decide I'm going to milk this a little bit to see how long he's going to laugh before he goes, hey, wait, is it something serious? I broke first. He never said, hey, wait, is it something serious? And I'm like, I hurt my ankle. He's like, I'm sorry, it was funny. I go, I hurt my ankle. I go, I could barely walk. And then I saw it in his eyes. He was like, oh, great. So I guess we're not going to play. So no, I muscled up the dad thing, and we stayed out there another hour and a half. Of course, I just stood at home plate, throwing the ball and, cracking them. But anyway, that was our day. We had a wonderful baseball day. We had baseball weekend. We watched games. He's learned. I have very big concerns because he has discovered that he likes baseball. He might be pretty good. Like I'm thinking he's got a cannon for an arm. So all he's got to do is learn how to just, be more accurate with it. Some throwing. He's got power. He really does have pop. He was crushing it. In the final 2 hours at the batting cages on Saturday, he was crushing it. And he was in medium too. He wasn't, let's be honest, you don't start him off in super fast. But he was in slow. And then we said, he wasn't doing well in slow. And we're like, let's try medium. And he did markedly better in medium. So, I don't know. But I'm thinking maybe he's like a right fielder or maybe a first baseman. I don't know. He's mean though. He's a mean teammate. We know that. All right, let's get into today's show. Kevin Barber says, I'm watching you walking on the treadmill wearing an ankle brace to protect my weak ankles. I took a roll crossing the street last year. Yeah, I know, man. I don't know. Although I have injured my ankles so many times. This is a genetic flaw that I have dealt with my entire life. I am shaped like a bell. I am very top heavy. And yet for some reason, I have the ankles supporting everything on top of it. I have the ankles of like a 5'3" 98 pound guy. I have teeny tiny ankles. My 13-year-old son's ankles are at least 3 times the diameter of my ankles. So I've always been wrecking my ankles. But at this point, it's like I haven't broken my ankles in 30 years. I think high school was the last time I broke an ankle. No. Nah, that was like a bubble fracture. I don't even count that. So that was probably in like 2005. I got a bubble fracture, but my bones are now like jelly, I think. I think they don't break anymore. I think they just bend and the muscles get pulled and then the ankle goes and blows up. I don't think they actually break anymore. I think they've, what's the opposite of calcified? Noodleized? I don't know. I don't know, but I think my ankles are now noodles. All right, let's get started with today's show, because what we do on this show is, and by the way, tip the show. Tip the show if you can. We're dying here. This show runs on your kindnesses and your generosities, and I got to tell you, it has been really, really bad. But thank you to the people who do contribute. There's about 4 of you that do monthly, regularly, man. You guys are awesome. But anybody else who want to help out the show, if you enjoy it, you enjoy the 5 broadcasts, you enjoy the Pugs and Parker, whatever, drop a little something, Venmo, Cash App. Help us out. Thank you so much. Let's get started with today's show. What is today? Today is the 3rd day of April. I almost said March. 3rd day of April, year of our Lord, 2023. Did you know it's 93rd day of the year? By my count, 272 days remaining until the end of the year. Now, that's what this show is about. We tell you all the things that are happening today. We tell you all the things that you need to know about today. But first, before we do that, we like to jump into the past. We like to go through history, the history of things that happened on this day. We call it Previously On, and today it would be April the 3rd. So previously on April the 3rd, back in 1860, the first successful United States Pony Express run from St. Joseph's, Missouri to Sacramento, California begins. Mail. I don't even know that we need mail anymore. Like, don't we get all of our... essentially all of our bills, for many of us, are all online. Do you want a paper copy of that? Why? For what reason? I don't know what I would do with it. Pony Express, though. Before we had email, man, one of the most maligned professions in America was the American postman. Everybody hated the postman. The postman sucked, the mail sucked, blah, blah, blah. And you know why? It's because we took it for granted. We just took for granted that we could get some kind of correspondence from somebody 20 states away over the course of 3 days. That's something. Pony Express, people. Do you think how much mail was lost? How many Pony Express riders, would just set up, or no, maybe they were drivers because were there stagecoaches? I don't know. But no, Pony Express was just the horse. Okay, so how many Pony Express riders just disappeared with a bag of mail? Right? I mean, we take mail for granted, is my point. On this day in 1865, the American Civil War, Union forces capture Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederate States of America. On this day in 1882, in the American Old West, Robert Ford, the coward Robert Ford, kills Jesse James. On this day in 1885, Gottlieb Daimler is granted a German patent for a light, high-speed four-stroke engine, which he uses 7 months later to create the world's first motorcycle. That's right, the motorcycle was invented by the same guy who invented the car. Not Henry Ford! I'm telling you! You gotta look into this Gottlieb Daimler dude. He was doing some stuff, but he was doing it over there. We didn't learn about people doing stuff over there. We learned about people doing stuff over here. So we got Henry Ford. Henry Ford should get all the credit in the world for being a major part of the Industrial Revolution. The advent of the assembly line system, brilliant. But he didn't invent the car. Henry Ford invented the car. No, he didn't. If anybody gets credit for inventing the car, I think it should be Gottlieb Daimler, who also invented the motorcycle, as it turns out. On this day in 1895, the trial in the libel case brought by Oscar Wilde begins, eventually resulting in his imprisonment on charges of homosexuality. Sir, you have been found guilty of homosexuality. Oscar Wilde was a dude, man. He okay, so probably was he probably, so what? But he was like, man, that dude's got some witticisms. You ever just want to like find some real cool, classy, sophisticated comebacks? Just go for some just Google like Oscar Wilde quotes or Oscar Wilde. He was a snarky bitch, man. He'd have been Oscar Wilde today is hosting a show on Bravo. That's just what I'm telling you. Also, he is like the paternal great-grand-uncle of actress Olivia Wilde. Although her name isn't legally Wilde. Her last name is actually something else. But Oscar Wilde is her blah, 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 and she's always admired him, so she changed her professional name to Wilde. So she's Olivia Wilde. And it's cool. And she was cool until she broke Jason Sudeikis' heart, which I can't believe I'm talking about Olivia Wilde. I thought I had a full-fledged blockade on all Olivia Wilde talk, and here we are. On this day in 1922, Joseph Stalin becomes the first general secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. And so it began. On this day in 1968, Martin Luther King delivers his "I've been to the mountaintop" speech. He was assassinated the very next day. So, I'm sure I'll be mentioning that tomorrow. On this day in 1973, Martin Cooper of Motorola makes the first handheld mobile phone call to Joel S. Engel of Bell Labs. 1973. Why did it take so long? Like, if they like did it in I'm the guy who always complains about early adoption, right? So maybe I should be okay with the fact that the first cell phone call was made in 1973, and we didn't really have cell phones until the late 90s. Moving on. On this day in 1974, the 1974 super outbreak occurs. It's the second largest tornado outbreak in recorded history. Okay. All right. I guess there was one in 2011 that's bigger. On this, we had a pretty nasty outbreak over the weekend, too, and that's trending. So we'll get to that in the trending topics and headlines segment of the show. On this day in 1996, suspected Unabomber Theodore Kaczynski is captured at his Montana cabin. Ted Kaczynski, South Side! Very proud of him. Another one. When you make the list of great South Side of Chicago people, Ted Kaczynski's. It's hysterical to me. He's from a place called Evergreen Park, right? And he like grew up there, like probably around the same time as my mom. I don't know. But then he just went nuts. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. What was he doing? What was his deal? Was he anti-tech? Wasn't that it? Because he wasn't the Rudolph guy who was sending bombs to abortion doctors. Kaczynski was a whole nother, I don't even care. You know what? Let history forget him, nerd. On this day in 2008, Texas law enforcement cordons off the FLDS YFZ ranch. Eventually, 533 women and children will be taken into state custody. That's the Warren Jeffs cult, right? Warren Jeffs, he's like marrying kids and stuff and all that. I seem to remember that. On this day in 2018, at the YouTube headquarters, a shooting occurred. 38-year-old gun woman. There you go. That's rare, gun woman. Although we're seeing it. Saw it in Nashville recently. But here's another one. 38-year-old gun woman opens fire at YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California, injuring 3 people before committing suicide. I don't even remember that one. Do you guys remember that one? I'm sure, ironically, you can find wall-to-wall coverage of it if you need to refresh your memory on YouTube. Let's do some birthdays. Born on this day in 1904, Iron Eyes Cody, American actor and stuntman. Iron Eyes Cody is the crying Indian from those public service announcements from back in the late 70s and 80s. You know, the Indian standing over the roadway is a bunch of dirty colonialist vacationers drive down and throw a bag of Burger King out the window, and then it cuts to the Indian, and he's like, brr, and he's like crying. That dude became an icon of Native Americans. And Iron Eyes Cody was Italian. He wasn't even an Indian. Oh my God. Of course, this was rumored to be the case throughout his run, playing every Indian ever in any movie, production, TV show that was shot between 1950 and 1985. This guy was everywhere. Turned out, not even Indian. Dude's an Italian. Born on this day in 1904, Sally Rand. Sally Rand, 1904, celebrating a birthday. Well, she's dead, so she's not celebrating. But you know what her deal was? She was America's whore. She was like, oh, that's Sally Rand. She's a whore. She was like treated the way, I don't know. You know, being openly and stridently promiscuous is sort of chic now. So I wouldn't even know who to compare it to because there's so many women who are. But anyway, Sally Rand's whole deal, this is all she did. Sally Rand was a dancer, and she was what was known, it was something that she innovated, something called fan dancing. Have you ever seen fan dancing? She had these giant feather fans. She'd be naked, and she had these giant feather fans. She'd go, whoop, I'm naked up behind there. And then she would move this one, and whoop, she'd move the other one here. And she'd go, oh, you almost saw something. It was very weird. But because of that, she was like America's whore, America's, bad girl, whatever. Happy birthday to you, America's bad girl, Sally Rand. On this day, born 1922, Doris Day. Icon, legend, national treasure. Not a clue what she did. I have no idea who Doris... Doris Day was ubiquitous growing up as a kid in the 70s and 80s. You know, you always... Grandparents loved Doris Day movies, stuff like that. It's like Doris Day, I have no... In fact, I got to be honest with you. I sometimes think Doris Day, is she the one that had the talk show and dated Burt Reynolds? And I'm like, no, that's Dinah Shore. That's different. She's different. I don't know. She was an actress, I guess, when she died. She died in 2019. She died recently, which means she really hadn't done anything in 40 years. And Doris Day, she was massive, a huge star. Born on this day in 1924. Talk about massive. Figuratively and literally, and talking about a national treasure, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday. The one and only Brando, Marlon Brando, is celebrating a birthday. American actor, director. What did Marlon Brando direct? Did he direct Last Tango in Paris? What did Marlon Brando direct? I have no idea. Anyway, Marlon Brando draft! Yeah, we're doing a Marlon Brando draft. Widely considered one of the greatest theatrical performers in the history of America, Marlon Brando. With the first pick in the Marlon Brando draft, I'm going into my heart, and I might be wasting the first overall pick on this movie, but I'm telling you, As a child, the only thing I wanted from Marlon Brando was more Jor-El from Superman. That's right, big fat Superman's dad. He took that movie for a paycheck, and he was getting really fat, and they made him wear a costume that showed how fat he was. It's just very funny, very funny. Jor-El from Superman, the first pick in the Marlon Brando draft. Second pick in the Marlon Brando draft. Let's get serious now. Colonel Kurtz, Apocalypse Now. Woo! Recently watched Apocalypse Now for like the 10th time. Still don't understand it. Love it though. Unlike 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've seen 2001: A Space Odyssey 10 times. Don't understand it at all. Don't enjoy not understanding that movie. Apocalypse Now, I don't get what's going on there, but that movie is awesome. And Marlon Brando played Kurtz. So that's number 2 off the board. Number 3, I mean, you know it had to be lurking. Don Corleone, the Godfather. Don Corleone, he is the Godfather. Will always be the Godfather. He set the template for what a mob boss should act like. How many other mob bosses have you seen portrayed in movies? Not portraying Don Corleone from the Godfather series, but how many other portrayals of mob bosses have you seen with a guy like this? They all do it. Not all of them. Many of them do. It's like it's become the template for playing a mob boss. I don't do imitations. Number 4 on the Marlon Brando draft. We're going On the Waterfront. See, I do bad in person. I could have been something instead of a bum, which is what I am. He's not even talking like that. I don't know. That devolved into just some bang, 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 bang. But anyway, Waterfront. Could have been a contender. What else do we need to do? Number 5, the 5th one off the board is another one that I really enjoyed. Do you guys remember The Freshman from, I don't know, it was like the late 80s, early 90s. It was Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick, and Matthew Broderick was dating Marlon Brando's daughter, and Marlon Brando was a mob boss. He played another mob boss. Anyway, The Freshman, really good. So there you go. There's the 5 draftees from the Marlon Brando draft. Number 1, Jor-El from Superman. Number 2, Kurtz from Apocalypse Now. Number 3, Don Corleone from The Godfather. Number 4, On the Waterfront. What was that guy's name? I don't remember. Number 5, The Freshman. He played Dad. Dad in The Freshman. All right, we are obviously we are going to be inviting some... freaking Marlon Brando. All right, coming to camp, some undrafted free agents that are going to get some look-sees at camp this summer. We're going to bring in Last Tango in Paris. That's right. We're going to bring in Streetcar Named Desire. Stella! You know you're a good actor when, you have lines from movies, from multiple movies. What else are we doing? The Young Lions. Yeah, Montgomery Clift. Marlon Brando, The Young Lions. Woo. The Wild One. Brando on a motorcycle gang leader, rolling into your town. He's going to wreck that barn dance. That's right, him and his motorcycle friends. How about Julius Caesar? That's right, he played Mark Antony in Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is also good. All the rest of them, he did some weird stuff. But there you go. That concludes our Marlon Brando draft. Gus Grissom was born on this day. American hero. You best put some respect on that man's name. Gus Grissom, of course, one of the Mercury astronauts, was in the Apollo program as well. Gus died tragically in 1967 in that fire that occurred on the pad in Florida. Keep a good thought for the Grissom family. American heroes! How about born on this day? What's this? What is this? What's happening here with the next 2 birthdays? It's like lounge singer birthdays? All right, born on this day in 1942, Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton was born on this day in 1942. Wayne Newton was born in 1942. By 1946, he had already been paid for singing. This kid was like musical veal. His parents, they just trotted him out. Wayne Newton has been on stages his entire life, from being just like this little kid singing. He's been in Vegas. He's like the king of Vegas. Jeez, man. I got to believe Wayne Newton has been making over $1 million a year since 1970 in Vegas. Gotta be. Or close to it. That guy's sitting on a pile. All right, Wayne Newton, lounge singer. Like the world's most successful lounge singer. Also born on this day in 1944, America's second most successful lounge singer. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Orlando is celebrating a birthday today. Remember when we made Tony Orlando famous for some reason? He was like a guy if you were traveling to Florida, right? He's like a guy that was in the bar in Florida. A tie a yellow ribbon. We gave him a TV show. We made him like really famous. And like, I don't get it. I didn't get it. Anyway, there you go. That stands to reason, I suppose. Wayne Newton and Tony Orlando, born on the same day. Born on this day in 1956, Ray Combs. Oh, Ray Combs. Isn't this the tragic Ray Combs? Ray Combs took over for Richard Dawson, right, as host of Family Feud. And then he like killed himself. Oh, God. Turns out he had, like, really bad depression. I remember reading some stuff. It was a real tragic thing, man. Ray Combs, he seemed like such a nice guy on the Family Feud, and he was so tortured. Born on this day. Ray Combs, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1958, Alec Baldwin. That's right, Alec Baldwin draft. Now we ain't into an Alec Baldwin draft, although we could. But he's so polarizing, and this show doesn't want to be divisive, so I will leave the Alec Baldwin draft with this. If I were forced to sit down and make a list of the top 10 funniest characters in American sitcom history, Alec Baldwin's portrayal of Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock would be a top 3er. It would absolutely be a top 3er. Without question. Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock was hysterical. I don't care about all this other Alec Baldwin nonsense. Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock was funny. Take that to the bank. Born on this day in 1959, David Hyde Pierce. He was Niles from Frasier. I got no love for Frasier. Never watched it. I mean, watched some of it, and I was like, oh. Look, you guys know, I hate elitists. As I do this show from the 1%er compound, well, yeah, but I'm an insurgent, right? That's what I got to tell myself. I always felt that, like, Frasier was, like, condescending, like, was trying to be too sophisticated. I don't know, I didn't love it. I'll tell you what I did like. I liked the character of Frasier Crane as he was introduced in Cheers. That character became something different, and he became less and less likable. The original character was very unlikable, but he was so unlikable that there were quirks and curiosities about him that made him likable. Then as that character evolved, he just became Kelsey Grammer, who seems like kind of a dickhead. Yeah. Eddie Murphy is celebrating a birthday. Eddie Murphy draft! Oh, you're damn right. We ain't doing Alec Baldwin. I know we did Brando. And it's the rare occasion where we're going to do multiple birthday drafts here because Eddie Murphy? Are you kidding me? It's hot. The air conditioning doesn't work. Got to get the air conditioning fixed before this weather turns. And that's, oh my God, this is going to be rough. I got a bum ankle. It's hot. It's going to be like 90 today. Anyway, we're good. We're going to keep going. Eddie Murphy draft is what we're doing right now. First pick overall. I might be the world's worst GM for doing this, but these drafts tend to be more about what I like best. You know what I mean? Like these, like this cannot objectively be a list of Eddie Murphy's best movies because we all have different opinions. Like I've got a friend who thinks Coming to America is the funniest movie ever made. And I'm like, you know what I mean? So you can't. So these are my favorites. So number one, first off the board, my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, Bowfinger. Have you people ever seen Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin? It's really good. And I think that it's about a Hollywood situation where an actor is pretending to be another person. It's so good. Bowfinger, the most underrated. Just go to Wikipedia, read the critical reviews. If you don't believe me, I'm sure they're great. Because I remember at the time, it's like, man, people are really saying this is a good movie. And then, like, nobody went and saw it. So it was like, they bombed. Anyway, Bowfinger comes off the board number one. That's a really good movie. Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, Bowfinger. Number two, in the Eddie Murphy movie draft. 48 Hours. 48 Hours was so funny. That movie, I loved that movie so much as a kid. Number 3 off the board, Trading Places. Oh, I love Trading Places. You have no idea. I sat here going, should 48 Hours be 2 or should Trading Places? And I think I came with 48 Hours because it was first. So I gave it extra credit for being like the first impression. Number 4. Number 4 is another Eddie Murphy movie that isn't one of his big hits, but is one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. One of my favorite movies. I love this movie, and nobody knows this movie. Have you ever seen Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, where they play 2 guys doing life in prison together? That is an amazing, amazing film. Life. Number 5 off the board in the Eddie Murphy draft, we're going with Harlem Nights. I still love Harlem Nights. Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Oh my God, Harlem Nights. But please, obviously we've left off some all-time bangers, right? So undrafted, free agents invited to camp. A number of them are coming. Beverly Hills Cop is coming. Beverly Hills Cop's probably making the team. I think we all know this. Coming to America. It's coming. Coming to America is making the team. We know this. Raw, his stand-up special, one of the seminal stand-up specials of the era, Raw, is getting a camp invite and making the team. Shrek, I know we're going animation, but how brilliant was Donkey? Shrek gets a camp invite. Shrek's making the team. And finally, I'll give a camp invite to what I think are just completely disposable Eddie Murphy movies, although they are incredible performances on his part, they're just kind of... And that would be a camp invite to The Nutty Professor. I don't know if The Nutty Professor is going to make the team, but whatever, people like it. Mike Ness of Social Distortions was born on this day in 1962. Sebastian Bach of Skid Row was born on this day in 1968. Sebastian Bach's an interesting guy. He turned into a Broadway singer. Like, he does a lot of stuff on Broadway now. Because, as it turns out, that metal voice, if fine-tuned a certain way, I guess it works well in a theater. Happy birthday, Sebastian Bach, born on this day in 1968. Born on this day in 1969, Ben Mendelsohn. We could do a Ben Mendelsohn draft. I love Ben Mendelsohn. But we won't do that. We'll move on. Born on this day in 1973, Adam Scott, American actor, American comic actor, Adam Scott, Parks and Recreation, Adam Scott's in a whole bunch of things. Bunch of things. Here's what Adam Scott has. I like Adam Scott. Don't get me wrong. Party Down, right? Wasn't Adam Scott? Yeah. I like Adam Scott. He's in everything. He's everywhere. He's totally forgettable. And that name doesn't help. That name, I'm like, whenever people go, oh yeah, Adam Scott's in it. I'm like, Adam Scott. And I got to think, who is that again? Not the golfer. It's a totally forgettable name. He's a talented guy who I enjoy watching and find funny with his deadpan, low-key sort of comic timing, but he's totally forgettable. He really is. He needs a different name. Adam Scott, if Adam Scott had a different name, I think he'd be a much bigger star. That's just such a blah name. Happy birthday, Adam Scott, born on this day in 1973. Born on this day in 1982, Colby Smulders. She's got a name. That's a name. Colby Smulders. It's not a great name, but it's not Adam Scott. It's a little more, there's a little junk on this pitch. Colby Smulders. She's from How I Met Your Mother. I like her. She's also from the Marvel universe. Marvel or DC? I don't know. What is she on? What does she do? Marvel or DC? Who's got the? It's Marvel. It's Marvel. She's with Marvel. Marvel Force or whatever. I don't know. It's too much of that. There's too much of that stuff out there, man. I mean, I'll watch it all, but I'm not going to retain any of it because it's total candy. It's just the TV shows. The movies have a bit more heft to them at times, but the TV shows is just candy. I can't keep up with them. And so I won't keep up with them. Born on this day in 1986, Amanda Bynes. Oh, Amanda, she's having herself a rough go. Just last week, she was not booked. She was committed She was running around the streets of downtown Los Angeles naked, telling people in cars that she was having a manic episode and that she needed help. She got the help she needed. She went into anyway, Amanda Bynes. It's her birthday. She was such a sweet kid. And talented. I'm telling you, Amanda Bynes was something. She had something, and then. But again, is that the genius of being creative and interesting and all that stuff? That's the double edge, where people who are creative because they see things differently, and they see things differently because they're nuts, because they're a little crazy. And Amanda Bynes is a whole lot crazy. I mean, she's got some real issues. Born on this day in 1998. Although I need to see a birth certificate. I need to see like a 23andMe. I don't know what. Paris Jackson is celebrating a birthday. I love Paris Jackson. I mean, I've got no reason to. Other than she was that cute little girl who we all looked at and went, oh man, there's some stuff going on in that house. I don't know what's going on in that house, but you can't be normal and be raised by that, right? Michael Jackson's kid. But here's my question, and this is why I need to see a 23andMe. I don't think I know this. Like, I might know it. Like, this question might have been answered for me time and time again over the years, but for some reason, it's not the answer I want, so I forget about it. But is Paris Jackson in any way, shape, or form genetically a Jackson? Or, because her mom is that Debbie Rowe lady, or did Debbie Rowe just get pregnant by like a sperm thing and she was married to, and like, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know. She's really interesting though, and she's trying to be an actress now. And she's got these really pretty eyes. Remember, even as a little girl, she had these eyes that were like, whoa, okay, all right. Paris Jackson was just announced as an opener for the Incubus tour today, April says. Really? I didn't know that. All right, April says she has to be a sperm donor. But do we know? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm like wondering myself. I don't know. Like, I don't remember that. That was also messed up. But happy birthday to you, Paris Jackson. Some people died today. Not a whole lot. It's actually a pretty good day to be a celebrity and stay alive. But dead on this day in 1982, the aforementioned Jesse James, shot by that coward, right? And dead on this day in 1897, Johann Brahms. And again, I'll ask the question, is he the da-da-da-da, because if not, then why are we even bothering with him? All right, that's going to do it. Those are all the things. See what I mean? That was like 18. So like nobody of significance that I felt worthy to mention died between 1897 and 2023. Because Brahms was the last one. I was like, okay, I can say something on that. I mean, who else died? I don't know. Somebody from the Little Rascals who I didn't recognize. You know, it's like names like that. I'm like, I don't know. Ooh, it's hot. All right, so now that we have gone through the events, you know, the historic previously on April the 3rd. We've gone through that. We've gone through the birthdays, and we've mourned some of the passings of the people who have left this plane of existence on this very day throughout time. Now we go into the hot topics of today. Now we talk about what's trending. Now we talk about what's happening, what people are buzzing about, the headlines, all of that stuff. I want you to be completely briefed up. And one of the conceits of the show that we try to follow. So we don't want to be divisive. So we don't do any politics. We do politics that we have to do, like if politics cross over. But we don't get bogged down with how you voted. I don't care. You shouldn't care how I voted, because if we can just sit here and hang out and be friendly, that should be all that matters, right? Right. As I always say, there is a curtain in those voting booths. Although I haven't used a voting booth in forever. I just go to a little pad thing. But there's still a curtain. There is privacy. Why? Because we're not supposed to discuss such things. To that end, the very big story that we have to talk about is the Trump arraignment. Now, I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, so I guess on Friday or Thursday, whatever, they indicted former President Trump. And then they gave him the weekend. I don't know. You know, I guess that's standard operating procedure. Although, what could standard operating procedure for this be? It has never been a former president indicted, certainly never arraigned, certainly never booked and mugshotted and all that stuff. So all that's going to happen. Now, we don't know what the charges are exactly. I don't care witch hunt. I don't care. He did it. He's going to jail. I don't care about all that. I just details and the facts. So the facts is that he's been indicted. The facts is that they have 30 plus charges supposedly against him. And the facts we don't know what those charges are. That's what we're waiting on today. We're thinking that at some point today, the indictment could be unsealed. And if the indictment is unsealed tomorrow or today in advance of the arraignment tomorrow, then we'll know. Then that'll be the story for tonight. All of the different charges. So with that said, let's move on. Tornadoes are trending. I told you that when we talked about the super outbreak that was on this day. We had some badass tornadoes come through this country. Not necessarily here, but not too far away from us. I mean, Little Rock, man. Little Rock got walloped. Several destructive tornadoes on Friday and Saturday left at least 25 dead and dozens more injured, along with catastrophic damage in several cities. Here they've got the Arkansas was one of the states that was affected. 5 deaths were reported in Arkansas, including 4 in the city of Wynne due to tornadoes late Friday night. Did you see all the videos of Arkansas, Little Rock being just overrun with tornadoes? So we got Arkansas, we got Illinois. This is in Belvedere outside Chicago. The Apollo Theater in Belvedere collapsed. There was a concert going on. Probably a bunch of local kids doing some of that death metal. And then all of a sudden, the roof came down on them. Farther north, 4 deaths were reported in Illinois, including 1 in Belvedere, located outside Chicago. Governor J.B. Pritzker said 48 people were hospitalized after a roof collapsed at the town's Apollo Theater during a sold-out concert. Indiana was also kicked in the nuts by these tornadoes. Another state heavily impacted in the Midwest. 3 deaths were reported in Indiana. Iowa. How's my boy Jeff? My boy Jeff get some of it or miss him? In Iowa, Quad Cities confirmed 13 tornadoes. Jeez Louise. And then what's the other state? Alabama. Alabama had tornadoes. Storms in northern Alabama left 1 woman dead. Tennessee, after touching down in northern Alabama in F3, continued its path into Lincoln County, Tennessee. Here, I want to show you something. I've got some video. This is a guy took this. He was on his porch. And this is a tornado moving down his street. And what's interesting about this video, here, as we will watch it, it's going to take a minute for me to do this properly. Nope. Because this is a really... Okay. Give me a sec here. Okay. All right. Just bear with me. I'm trying to do this because this video isn't on a normal site that I usually use video for. It's on a stupid site. Okay. Booyah. Here we go. All right, watch this video now. This is look at that street. This is as the storm approaches. Here we go. Sorry, gotta. Now this is about 2 minutes, so we're gonna sit and we're gonna watch this. Watch this storm unfold down this guy's street. I think the indicator is going to be that garbage can, that green garbage can. Alright, now watch this. Look at that. Just the car was just that car smashed by the tree. The guy was just standing there. Oh, and now the sirens come. Now you hear the sirens? Mad about it. A little bit of rain following the tornado.
Okay. That was
Look at that.
pretty jacked up. This is my street now.
Look at that. I mean, I'll remind you, we'll go back to the very beginning here. Look at this is what a street looked like before that. We just saw. Look at that.
This is my street now.
In a matter of seconds. This was a 2-minute video. In 2 minutes, the neighborhood went from this to this. Oh my God, Mother Nature is a bitch. Jeez Louise. That's some rough stuff there. Tornadoes. So there you go. Keep good thought for those folks. They've been through some stuff. What else do we have here? Oh, here's a story coming locally. There was a road rage incident. You guys road rage? Jeff, you road rage. I know Jeff road rages. I road rage too. I can't. I try to keep it under wraps because I'm in Texas now. I forget, everybody, even that little old lady, she's packing heat. And that's exactly what happened in this road rage incident that occurred in Grapevine, Texas, just over the weekend on Saturday. They were over by the Bass Pro Shop, 121 in Grapevine, over by Bass Pro Shop over there. So they're driving by Bass Pro Shop, and I don't know, somebody cut somebody off, and then this dude, here, look, I'm going to show you this guy. I'm going to show you his oh, for crying out loud, why'd you sign me out? Why would you sign me out? I was just using you. Hold on, Google signed me out. Google sucks. I mean, not really. I mean, when I think of all the ways my life has been made easier, Google's pretty up there. But it sucks because I depend on them too much, and I don't like that about myself. All right, here, this guy. Let me show you this. Nope. Yep. Okay. I want to show you this idiot. And oh man, it looks like he's crying too. We're going to get to see his mugshot here. Poor baby. Oh, is that straight cred? Were you crying your mugshot? Look at this bitch. Look at his eyes. Oh, I'm crying. I tried to kill a woman because I got cranky on the road. Yeah, that's what happened. A Euless man is locked up and charged in a Grapevine road rage shooting that put a woman in the hospital on Friday. Oh, I thought it was Saturday. The victim was shot in the neck while driving on Highway 121 near Bass Pro Shop Drive. Police say she and a man named Brandon Root were in a freeway confrontation, and Root is accused of pulling out a pistol and firing at the woman. Although struck in the neck, her wound was considered to be non-life-threatening. Look at this idiot. He's just out there. Who raised this little monster? You're going to shoot a woman on the road? Enjoy prison. Good Lord, man. I don't understand that. And he's crying? You have the nerve, tough guy, to cry now? Are you kidding me? All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Asa Hutchinson is trending. Former Arkansas governor, former head of the DEA, congressman, all that stuff. Asa Hutchinson is trending because he's running for president. That's right. There's another one of these guys who doesn't have a shot in hell. And he's just going to raise a whole bunch of money, and, his 2023 income tax are going to have a whole bunch of, election stuff on there. But he's going to make a bunch of money. He's going to make a whole bunch of money. Not a chance in hell of winning, Asa, but he's going to collect all that money. Remember, this is how it's done. Because, you collect, you say, I'm running for president, and then you get a bunch of stupid people. Like, maybe there's 400 million people in this country. Maybe there's 100,000 morons who, can be bamboozled by whatever stupid. And I'm not talking about Asa Hutchinson. I'm talking about any idiot that runs for president. Maybe you get 100,000. Maybe you get a couple of big sponsors, like big companies, and they start giving you money so that you can run for president. And that money is supposed to be for plane tickets and hotels for the staff and meal, the expenses of running a campaign. So you say you're running for president, you start collecting all this money, and then you say, forget it, I've collected all this money, but I can't win, so I'm not running for president. You don't have to give that money back. What you have to do is, or what they do is, they create a political action committee. They create a group, and they say, since you donated that movie to me and I'm no longer running for president, I am going to use that money that you put in my faith, and I'm going to put it towards causes that I think we can all agree on. And then you just go and make yourself the guy in charge of that and pay yourself a healthy salary. That's how it's done, folks. That's why a whole bunch of people with no chance in hell always seem to run for president. And you think, isn't that a waste of money? Not for him. Not for him. For him, it's going to be a money. Although Asa Hutchinson's interesting because he disappeared, during the Trump MAGA right thing. He really did. He sort of went, he was like one of those Republicans that was like, that's a little too wild for me. You know what I mean? He kind of backed away. And now he's coming back and offering himself up as a reasonable. But here's the problem with Asa Hutchinson. And I'm not saying that this is a problem for me, although it is. No, it is. It's a problem. He's a pretty hardline evangelical. And I just don't believe that an evangelical could ever get elected to national office. I just don't think it's possible. Although I would say about Asa Hutchinson, you know what he could be? He could be somebody's VP, right? Like DeSantis. Couldn't you see that? I could see an Asa Hutchinson being the vice president with DeSantis. Former head of the DEA. That's got to be the kind of, yeah, man, we got a cop who's busting Mexican weed dealer. That kind of thing. Is it that kind of vibe? So that might play. I don't know. I could see him being a vice president, though. Certainly not Asa Hutchinson. The NCAA is trending because we got a game tonight. Yeah, we do. We got a game, and I don't care one bit about it other than the fact that maybe I'll glance at the TV to see Bill Murray. Bill Murray is Bill Murray's son is one of the coaches for UConn. UConn. I'm trying to think of who Miami, Florida State, whatever, some Florida school. I don't know. I so don't care about the NCAA this year, and I think it's because of the teams that are in it. UConn's son is a coach or Bill Murray's son is a coach for UConn. So Bill Murray goes to all the games. So that's been interesting watching UConn games. And UConn looks really good. They do. They look way better than all the other teams in the Final Four. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be UConn over San Diego State. But hey, what do I? And do you guys care about the championship? I just don't care. I'm I don't give one damn about it. Not at all. Let's see here. Speaking of the NCAA, here's a little something that occurred in the women's NCAA tournament. Did you hear about this? So Iowa's Caitlin Clark has been the talk of the women's NCAA tournament. Honestly, her performances have been hyped crazy. It's she's the great. They have hyped Caitlin Clark out of Iowa into the greatest basketball player, women's basketball player ever. It has been a bit much. I mean, I shouldn't know. I didn't watch 1 second of the women's tournament. And I know who Caitlin Clark is, So anyway, in the championship game, it was LSU versus Iowa. And it was Caitlin Clark who was everybody's favorite. And she's a white girl. And a black girl on, what's her name? She's not even She's not even the best player on the team, right? She's just a player, but she's not great. She's not at Caitlin Clark's level. Caitlin Clark is obviously an elite female basketball player. So this other girl did this. So this is the situation that occurred yesterday. LSU defeated Iowa, by the way. Caitlin Clark, the woman who was inscrutably turned into America's sweetheart or they attempted to turn her into that. I don't know. Caitlin Clark lost. LSU won. And was Angel Reese, I think is the girl's name. So this is what Angel Reese of LSU did to Caitlin Clark. And oh my goodness, is this a huge deal? So let's talk about it. And that's my way of saying it's not a huge deal at all, but people are making it a huge deal.
And Angel Reese,
I get a ring. You don't.
Ring is coming.
I get a ring. And there she is in Caitlin Clark's face. Look at me. I got a ring. White girl.
And Angel
White girl
Reese
who everybody's talking
knows
about.
A ring is coming.
So this is undeniably poor sportsmanship. This is a bitch. I don't care. I don't care what you're. She's a strong, empowered woman in the face of the oppressor. Caitlin Clark ain't no oppressor. Caitlin Clark is a girl from Iowa who's good at basketball. It's not her fault that NBC or CBS decided that they were going to promote her ahead of everybody else. And now I mention that because that's a very real thing. That's a subplot of this entire NCAA women's tournament. That there are apparently a lot of really good, really talented, and as accomplished or even more accomplished female basketball players currently playing. They ain't getting any of the looks that Caitlin Clark is getting. So that's been an issue. So this girl, Angel Reese, is then asked in her press conference about it, and she does, she's unapologetic. She doesn't even acknowledge the fact that, I think most of us would enjoy our champions being more humble. This kind of bullshit, we're done with it. And she's like, well, she kind of turned it into a race thing. So now she's taking heat for that. Angel Reese, the girl we're looking at right now, who's doing this in her face. But also, let's listen to what the announcers are saying. Do the announcers at any point call it out as being unprofessional? I mean, or not unprofessional, but poor sport? I get a ring, haha, not you. I win, haha. Look, Caitlin. Look, white girl. Okay.
An Angel.
Now, what I left out intentionally for this story is because that wasn't just Angel Reese taunting Caitlin Clark, who apparently she doesn't like anyway. That was Angel Reese responding to something that Caitlin Clark had done this multiple times throughout the tournament to other teams. And the media, who had deified her as a princess, never once mentioned it. But the minute it gets turned on her in the game by the other girl, all of a sudden now it's a big deal. That's a fact. There are pictures online right now, split screen, with Angel Reese doing that in her face. I get a ring. Doing that in her face with absolutely no context. No context that was in response to Caitlin Clark having done that previously in this tournament. It's all just sort of framed as, look at this braggadocious, poor sport, lacking humility, LSU black girl. I'm sorry, but that's sort of the subtext of it. That is it. So she's taking a beating. Now, is she a bitch? Yeah. Just to do that, just to feel that you needed that revenge to do that, justified or not, context or not. Yeah, you're a bitch for doing that. That's a poor sportsmanship. I don't care if she did it to you. She was a poor sport first. That doesn't mean you get to be a poor sport now, because remember, the problem is being a poor sport. That's what the crime is. So I don't know. This is a really effed up story. Keith Olbermann is getting crushed on it. Now, Keith Olbermann is a smart guy, but he's kind of an idiot and he's a troublemaker. And honestly, the world would be better off without Keith Olbermann's thoughts every now and again. With that said, Keith Olbermann's getting raked on Twitter today because apparently he showed that video of her doing that and then just tweeted, what a effing idiot, right? So now everybody's like, Keith Olbermann's a racist! I'm like, no, he's not. He's just a guy who knew the context of this whole thing. He just knew that it... I don't know. She is an idiot. The context is... See, this is a double... You understand? See, things are complicated. Is Angel Reese an idiot for doing that? Yeah, she is. She's an idiot in a poor sport, and she should take the heat for it. Is Caitlin Clark this innocent, angelic victim of now this mean, terrible girl? Or has Caitlin Clark kind of been a bitch throughout the entire... Caitlin Clark is a killer. Caitlin Clark is an amazing athlete. She's got that Jordan gene in her where she just wants to destroy you. It's not good enough to beat you. She has to destroy you physically, emotionally, mentally. That's what great athletes have. So this idea that she's this sweet, innocent little farm girl who's just really good at basketball, and look at her, she's from Iowa. So come on, white people, you can watch girls basketball, because let's be honest, girls basketball is all, black people, black women, black girls, and lesbians. That's basically it. And then a bunch of sports guys, mainstream sports guys, on occasion fill in there, not because they're sincerely interested in the sport, but just because they want to be seen as someone who supports it. That's right. Look at me. Hey, everybody, it's Mike Wilbon at a Sparks game. Look, mainstream sports guys are embracing women's basketball. Women's basketball, there's nothing wrong with the sport. There's nothing wrong with women wanting to play basketball. But this idea that we pretend that it's at the same level as men's basketball is absurd. It's not, and you can't force it. However, that being said, this year, the NCAA women's tournament was far and away more interesting than the men's tournament. So I don't know, just disregard everything I just said. Manhood. Here we go. Let's talk about our manhood. Josh Hawley, who's a senator, he's got a new book out about being a man, about being manhood. Let's see what this is all about. What does he say? He doesn't want dudes watching porn anymore. Way ahead of you, Josh. But still, I think it'd be difficult to tell a 25-year-old not to watch porn anymore. I really do. I think that's not going to happen. Not going to win many friends that way. You know what you're going to do? You're going to meet a lot of liars. A lot of liars. That'd be like if you formed a group. All right, this group, it was all 15, 13, 12, let's do 12 to 18-year-old boys, right? You get this group. It's 12 to 18-year-old boys. And we are never going to self-pleasure ourselves, like an anti-masturbation group. And all 12 to 18-year-old boys. And they're all going to be in this group, and they're all going to be like, we don't do it. And they're going to go home and do it. So Josh Hawley with his whole, we're not watching porn anymore. Look at all these dudes are watching porn. Stop it. Bunch of liars. Instead of just not watching porn, how about moderate? I don't know, man. I'm not really into porn. I mean, I guess at a point in my life I was into it to the level of any other, guy. But see, I also worry about generations that aren't mine because I didn't grow up with it. It wasn't something that was always a part of my everyday. God, it's so. So I kind of agree that, I worry about what porn is doing, especially to young men. But I don't know if you can go around banning it. Why ban it? You don't have to ban it. How about be better ourselves? Just a little bit of self-control. We can do that. Anyway, he's going on and on about manhood and porn. So there you go. He's got a new book. If you want to read his new book about how you shouldn't look at porn, Josh Hawley's got a book called Manhood. Now I don't know if Josh Hawley's book on manhood is going to be allowed in school libraries because school libraries are trending. This is a very big deal. There is a bill here. Check this out. This is crazy. This is where we have gone. In my life, I've gone from thinking that in America, the idea of book burning and censoring and not allowing the free exploration of education among America's youth being a good thing, that's a good thing. But all the book burning, it's a bad thing, book burning, to now it's like, we're not going to, you can't, they can't burn the books because that's a bad symbol. That can be, look at this, they're burning books. And then that'll go all over and you'll see a picture of books on fire and that's, So you can't burn the books. So guess what they're trying to do? If you can't burn the books, they want to close all the libraries. School libraries. There is a plan to get rid of school libraries because they're too troubling. As book bans gain favor, some say school libraries need to go next. There are multiple bills in different states. And but we need to know who's doing this. The crazy rights. We got the crazy rights, we got the crazy lefts, and then they got the rest of us in the middle. The crazy rights are trying to shut down school libraries. A place where books are, where kids go to learn. Could you imagine what is happening? Moving on. Anyway, weight loss drug. Hey, fat people. I'm one of you. They got a new miracle weight loss drug. You interested? Of course you are. There is a miracle weight loss drug coming. At least that's what they're saying. Probably gonna, I don't know, make us grow another butthole or something, like 5 years after we all start taking this and we're all ripped with abs and all that. And it's like, but should I be developing gills? I seem to be developing I can breathe underwater now. I don't know if this has anything to do with people who are overweight are flocking to the drug Ozempic. Ozempic. I've heard commercials and stuff for Ozempic. I didn't know what Ozempic was. It's a weight loss drug? Okay, Ozempic. Let's see. People who are overweight are flocking to the drug Ozempic to slim down. But looming is an even more powerful weight loss treatment. The drug Mounjaro helped a typical person with obesity who weighed 230 pounds lose up to 50 pounds during a test period of nearly 17 months. Okay. First of all, I weigh 235 pounds. Now, I know I'm 6 foot tall, so maybe this person in the study who weighed 230 pounds, maybe that person was like 5'8". Okay, so maybe that 235 pounds and obese. I am. I told you. I went to the doctor. Last time I went to the doctor's like, you're 5 pounds away from being obese. I'm like, what? So I dropped 10 pounds. Anyway, here's the thing. Here's my problem with this. Ready? Remember this? This is the new drug. It's called Mounjaro, right? So it helped a person with obesity who weighed 230 pounds. It helped them lose up to 50 pounds over the course of 17 months. It's almost 2 years. If you're obese and you can't lose 50 pounds in 2 years, this drug didn't do anything. This drug didn't do anything. Or were they just is this the deal? Like for 17 months, they didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Just like 2 liters of Mountain Dew and, potato chips and like, give me the big basket or the big box from Taco Bell. Was it that kind of thing? Like they were allowed to do that for 17 months. Only difference is they took their pill and then they lost 50 pounds, just still drinking the Mountain Dews and, all that. So that'd be interesting. But if they were like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. As a part of a smart planned weight loss program, right? That's always the thing. You can take this pill, but also we're going to put you on a diet. Dude, the pill is so I've always known I could go on a diet. What? Here's what we're going to do. You're going to start working out and you're going to drink a lot of water and you're not going to eat the way you are. We're going to make a meal plan for you. And then you're also going to take this pill. How about if I don't take the pill and I just do all those things? I will lose more than 50 pounds in 2 years. I will. But, who is it that's putting this thing out? Is it, let's see here, Eli Lilly. That's what it is. The advance of Mounjaro, which is already on the market to treat type 2 diabetes. Oh, so it was a diabetes drug. Type 2 diabetes. So it's already a diabetes drug. Has excited doctors and patients who have been waiting decades for effective treatments while helping turn its maker, Eli Lilly and Company, into the most valuable standalone pharmaceutical company in the United States with a market value of more than $300 billion. All right. So they're going to make a whole bunch of money off this. That's basically, see, that's science, man. They made a diabetes drug. And they're like, what else can it do? Well, you can lose weight on it, so now it's a weight loss drug. That was the deal with Viagra. Viagra was a cure for balding. They were working on, trying to stop men from going bald. It turned out a bunch of bald men with hard-ons in the test study. They're like, well, maybe we ought to look at this as something else. That's what happened. I'm sweating because it's hot. Oh, here's something fun that was trending around. So emotional intelligence. This is something we don't talk a lot about. Emotional intelligence is, how do I say this? So I always brag that I'm a really good judge of character. I can tell a shady person within like a couple of minutes. Not, you know what I mean? I can tell when somebody is being inauthentic. I can tell when somebody's being insincere. I can pick up on if they're nervous. I can pick up on, I'm good at that. I'm good at sizing people up. Always have been. It's one of the skills that you develop as an only child. It's a survival mechanism because, you don't have the comfort of being able to run to familiar surroundings like brothers and sisters and stuff like that. You have to enter into groups of people that you don't know, and you have to be able to. So only children tend to develop this emotional intelligence a little bit quicker and with more gravitas than other people. But if you use these 13 phrases every day, you have a higher emotional intelligence than most people. This according to psychologists. Are you ready for these phrases? All right, if you say these things, these are things that people with high emotional intelligence are heard to say. Could you tell me more about that? Could you tell me more about that? Inquisitive, trying to find out about this person. Emotional intelligence. I hear you is number 2. I hear you. It's a way of saying that you understand that I'm following along. 3, I understand what you're saying, but... I don't know what that one is. That doesn't sound good. Number 4, how do you feel about that? There's another thing that people of high emotional intelligence are often heard to say. How do you feel about that? Inquiring about the other person's feelings. It's not just about you. Emotional intelligence is also about understanding the feelings in the moment of the person that you're talking to. 5, I'm not sure what's wrong. Could you explain the problem to me? Yeah. Number 6, what do you mean? Number 7, great job. Number 8, you both have good points. Let's see how we can work together. Look at that. I'd love your input on this. Number 9. Number 10, this situation makes me worried. Wait, that's just something people say. How are some of these things that... Number 11, I feel this way about bop, bop, bop. I don't know what that means. When you're emotionally intelligent, you connect with your emotions as they happen in the moment. This type of self-awareness allows you to better share your own emotions and impress with other people, which both makes them feel closer to you and encourages them to do the same. It's all about connecting with people. You notice you're talking to somebody, you notice that they're a little bit nervous, then you start working on ways to make sure that they're not nervous. It's just reading the room. It's called a whole bunch of other things. Number 12, I'm sorry. That's right. People of high emotional intelligence are fine with apologizing because people of high emotional intelligence understand that, yeah, sometimes I do something wrong or I unintentionally that's understanding when you should say, I'm sorry, right? There's a lot of people who are slaves to their egos. They're just their egos make every decision. Those are the people who are like, I don't apologize. Yeah, because your ego won't let you. But someone with high emotional intelligence understands that sometimes, unbeknownst to them, they may have done something that upset somebody. And so an acknowledgement of that and an understanding that, oh, wait, Jesus, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. Now I can see how. That's I'm sorry. The most important thing here. Having a healthy dose of humility is common among people with high emotional intelligence. Don't be afraid to say I'm sorry. When you make a mistake, admit it and genuinely apologize to whomever deserves the apology. Thank you. Thank you is the other one. High emotional intelligence. Acknowledge when something is being done for you. Somebody brings you something and you're on your phone, whatever. Oh, a perfect example is a waitress, right? You'll be in a conversation with somebody at the table, blah, 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 and the waitress will come by and just put some things down and you won't even acknowledge her. Waitress comes by and, puts another thing of syrup on your pancake table. You say, yeah, oh, thank you, appreciate it. You acknowledge that something has been, you are emotionally intelligent, meaning you understand other people around you. Anyway, I like that. It's one of my favorite subjects. So when I saw the article today, I was like, let's talk about that. And, maybe it didn't work out. I don't know. Indiana Jones is trending. Indiana Jones is trending today. Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones in the Goblet of Fire. I don't know. There's a lot of Indiana Jones movies. I just know the original Indiana Jones movie. There's a new one coming out, and apparently it's going to debut at Cannes. That is the proper pronunciation. Cannes Film Festival. What is he, like 80? How old is Harrison Ford? Harrison Ford's badass. Harrison Ford's the best. What's this new one? I don't know. Does it matter? It's the Indiana Jones movie. I guess it's Indiana Jones 5, where I don't know, whatever. Oh, here's what I can tell you about it. It's the first one not directed by Spielberg. Spielberg is not directing this one. However, it is still Spielberg and George Lucas in charge of the production. They're the executive producers. It's still the big three. It's still Harrison Ford, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg. It's just a different director this time. What else do I have to mention? Yeah, Harrison Ford, man. Let's take a moment and stop down on Harrison Ford. That guy, boy, I'll tell you, that guy. First of all, another Chicago guy. Very proud of that. Very coolest actor from Chicago. That's what I would say. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford had a funny line. His mother is Ashkenazi Jew, and his father is Irish Catholic. And when he was asked about what influence his Jewish and Irish Catholic ancestry had on him, he said, as a man, I've always felt Irish. As an actor, I've always felt Jewish. I just think that's a good line. Harrison Ford, man, think about this now. Indiana Jones, Rick Decker, Blade Runner. Indiana Jones, Rick Decker, Jack Ryan, and Han Solo. Who else can put that together? Patrick Stewart's got a couple good ones, right? Like Patrick Stewart's got Picard and the dude from X. Who can touch Harrison Ford as far as iconic film characters of the past 40 years, right? He's Han Solo and Indiana Jones. And we're not even mentioning the original Jack Ryan, my Jack Ryan. We're not even talking about Jack Ryan or Blade Runner, Rick Decker. Rick Decker, who's like the coolest character in film history. Anyway, Indiana Jones, there's a new one coming out. I won't see it. Maybe I'll see it. Maybe I'll see it like a year after it's in theaters. Something like that. There's another best places to live thing. It's out here. It's all right. Let's see. All right. Let's see what this is. There's a new. Okay, so this is like the best suburbs. This isn't like the best cities or the nicest or the most affordable. We do all of these when these come out. Apparently, the best suburb to live in America is. So here's what they judge it on: affordability, the local housing market, neighborhood diversity, area public schools, and the walkability of the area. Okay. All right, best place to live in America based on those criteria, Chesterbrook, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Apparently, Chesterbrook is a little suburb, a little neighborhood just on the outside of Philadelphia, although it seems to share an address with Philadelphia. So Chesterbrook, number 1. Number 2, Colonial Village in Arlington, Virginia. Ardmore in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hyde Park in Tampa, Florida. Penn Wynn in What? Why is there so much Philadelphia here? Why are the Philadelphia suburbs like 4 of the top 5 best suburbs in America? Number 1 is Philadelphia. Number 3 is Philadelphia. Number 5 is Philadelphia. Okay, 3 of the top 5 are Philadelphia. Then you got Santa Monica, California, city center neighborhood. Cambridgeport in Massachusetts. The North Quarter of Orlando. Devon in Philadelphia, another Philadelphia suburb. And number 10, Great Neck Gardens in Long Island. There you go. You live in any of those places? Probably not. I'm guessing not. Okay, so, boy. There is something that I wanted to talk about that I saw. It was a story. It's a New York Times today. What is this? Oh, no. New York Times. It's like the opposite. It's the Daily Mail. Okay, so there was the story that was getting major circulation on the Daily Mail today. And so I started reading it, and then I started doing a little bit of like research on it, and I am fascinated by this. So I want to talk about this story. I want to spend a little bit of time on this story. But first, let's jump into, because we're out of stuff. That's it. That's all I've prepared for today. Let me see. Earl Campbell is trending because it's like Earl Campbell. People are like, happy birthday, Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell's birthday was last week. Unless he died, and I don't know. Did he die? I don't know, whatever. Earl Campbell can't die. Moana is trending. Never saw it. Blue Beetle is trending. I don't know what that is. What is that? A new new Volkswagen Beetle? What are they making, a Blue Beetle? Feels like I've seen those before. Trump indictment is trending. President fraud is trending. Jimin like crazy is trending. Jimin is one of those South Korean boy band guys. Jimin trends. Ugh. It's like Elon Musk, Jimin, Trump. It's like those are the people who just constantly trend. 60% of Americans. It's trending. What's this? What's 60% of Americans? What is this about? Let's see. 60% of Americans approve of Trump's indictment. Okay. CNN poll conducted by SSRS. I don't care about this. Well, what did I expect, right? What did I expect when I clicked on the 60% of America's thing? Tony Montana. Tony Montana is trending. Why is Tony Montana trending? Is it like the real Tony Montana, or are we talking about is there some hip hop guy named Tony Montana? There probably is. I don't know. Tony Montana, we tried to watch Scarface on Saturday night. We tried to do a boys' night Scarface party with our teenage boys and me and E. And but that devolved really quickly. You shh, come on, stop talking. We're trying to watch this. Constantly. A 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. Just, questions and not even questions. Questions would be fine. We could explain the Cuban boat lift to you. We were there. We lived it. We understood it. I can explain what's that. Those weren't the questions. The questions were like stupid ones. Like, are there any boobs in this movie? And stuff like that. Like, questions that like 13-year-old boys might ask. Default. We got through an hour of Scarface. Scarface is like a 12-hour movie. It's like 3 hours, but whatever it is. But we got through 1 hour, and it was like, okay, we're going home. We're not going to finish this. This is absurd. Can't handle this. George Lopez is trending. Why is George Lopez trending? Let's see. What is if you're not caught up on the George Lopez controversy, what did he do? What did George Lopez do? Okay, Blue Beetle is trending. George Lopez is trending. Blue Beetle looks to be a movie. George Lopez looks to be in this movie. All right, that makes sense. All right, I'm not seeing anything. Vince McMahon is trending. Remember when he got in trouble for being like a skeeve? And he was like, had sex with women and paid for it with money. Whatever the deal was. And he's like, I'm going to step away from WWE. And he stepped away. He's like, I'm falling on my sword. And he stepped away for like 6 months. And then he came back. He's like, changed my mind. I'm in charge again. It's like, well, then you never stepped away. If you could just jump back, you never stepped away. So anyway, Vince McMahon is trending now because I guess enough of the dust has settled since the controversies surrounding his temporary banishment from WWE. And he signed a new 2-year deal with himself? I mean, I don't know how this works, but I guess with the board of WWE. And they're trying to sell WWE as well, so that's interesting. Okay, all right, so there we go. That's there ain't nothing big happening. We're gonna get rid of this. So I want to talk to you guys about something that I saw that has shaken me to my very core. This was an article that I read today. Here, let me pull it up over here. Have you guys ever heard of the Whitaker family? Now, this isn't normally what we do here. This is more the kind of thing that maybe I would do on a talk show if I had a talk show. And, we would talk about this story and these people, the Whitaker family. The Whitaker family, they live in a town called Odd, West Virginia. Odd, O-D-D. Odd, like oddball. Odd, West Virginia. It's very fitting. Because the family, I've never seen anything like it. Well, I mean, I've heard, even in my imagination, I mean, I've known that this situation exists. I've known that people live in this part of the world and how they live in this part of the world. But in my most vivid imaginations of what inbred hillbilly people in Appalachia are like and live like, I never imagined anything like this. I was stunned by this family. So the Whitaker family is famous. I don't even know how they're famous. Well known. I'll just read you the headline. And this is the article that I spent like 40 minutes on this morning, and I'm like, I can't get enough of these people. Inside America's most inbred family. Members of West Virginia's Whitaker's family would bark at people and only communicate through grunts while living in squalor, overrun with animals in the hills of Appalachia. So there's this guy who was doing this book about remote American societies, populations, groups. And he went and he started hanging around in Appalachia. And he learned about these people, this Hill family, who live way deep in the hoods. I mean, they're basically like human Sasquatches. That's essentially what this is like. So he wades way into the woods and he decides to pay these people a visit. And, it was not good. There were guns and there was like, there's all kinds of this kind of stuff. But over time, somehow this dude, this New York City journalist, was able to create a bond with this family. And he's writing a book about it and all that. And that's what the article is about. The article is about this book. But I want to watch this video. I want you to see these people. He went there and with his Apple iPhone, he just started interviewing the Whitaker family. And he just started. You will struggle while watching this to remind yourself that these are human beings. That these are not ape people or, they are very feral. They are feral human beings. And the crazy thing is that they have a car, right? How did they buy a car? They've got like a relatively new car. And by that, I mean, it's like a 20-year-old Chevy, whatever, Cavalier sitting in there. But it looks to be running. They're wearing Nike shoes and, the clothing. So anyway, let's watch a little bit of this because I find it so fascinating. Now, remember, here's the problem with this family. What we're going to be looking at, this branch of the Whitaker family, are, I think it's 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And they've lived in this place for forever. Forever. I mean, they say, how long you been here? My whole life. It's like, been in a family plot for 100 years. That kind of thing. They are what's known as, so they're mom and dad of these 4 siblings that we're going to drop in on. The mom and dad were first cousins. Twice. They're first cousins. Now, I didn't know what that meant. Because just the idea that your mom and dad are first cousins, they're first cousins twice because both of their sets of grandparents were also first cousins and inbred. It's just, I couldn't even, smoke started coming out of my ears. I'm trying to figure out genetically how that works. But man. All right, so let's watch a little bit of this video. This video is really... it's a 12-minute raw video of this guy walking around this inbred family compound there in West Virginia. I have never seen anything like it. So I just thought at the end of the show today we can watch this. Maybe we'll have some comments on it. We'll talk a little bit about it. But just please try and remind yourself, these are human beings. Because your mind's going to go, oh, they're like animals. They're like a different species. It's shocking. All right, here you go. Let's watch this, and then we'll... all right, so I guess I'll read this. I first photographed the Whitaker family for my first book, Created Equal, in 2004. That visit was interrupted by an angry neighbor with a shotgun who threatened to use it if we didn't leave the Whitakers alone. After explaining what I was doing, he calmed down and allowed me to photograph the Whitaker family. The 2 portraits shown in this video are from that book. I have returned to visit the Whitakers when I've been in Appalachia for other shoots. But on this visit in July of 2020, I recorded a bit of video of something many of us have heard of, but never actually seen. I strongly discourage anyone attempting to look for the Whitakers as their armed neighbors and the Raleigh County deputies both make it clear that curious visitors are not welcome. By the way, that's how they speak. That's or one of them anyway. One of them can only like grunt and bark like a dog.
So what are your names?
It's Ray, Lori, Timmy.
I'm sorry. Who's this?
His name's Ray.
Ray. I remember Ray. I photographed you, Ray. Do you remember? Years ago. And your name is
Lorraine.
Lorraine and Timmy.
Yeah.
Now you guys grew up here in Odd, West Virginia.
Frank in the chat room is warning me not to check out the wife of the trust. I know the whites of West Virginia. The whites of West Virginia are the Rockefellers compared to this family. The whites of West Virginia are just like the worst people in your suburb. These people are something different.
Virginia. How many years have you lived here?
All my life.
You're you guys, I mean, did you go to school? You did? Some of your brothers and sisters probably didn't go to school, or how much schooling did they get?
They didn't went to school long, but he graduated.
You graduated from what?
We were from high school.
You went to high school,
This dude with the plate graduated high school.
Timmy?
What
Yeah,
the hell?
High school on back.
And how about you, Lorraine?
No, she didn't went to school.
She didn't.
Lorraine didn't speak. Lorraine
No,
barked.
they didn't went to school.
Come on out.
That dude barks too.
Come here, Ray.
Come here, Ray.
Ray, tell me about your family.
All right, let's jump inside here. All right, you're gonna go inside the house. Now they're in Ray's little.
So Ray,
Look at him. He's barking. Look, that's a dog, but you'll see when he barks. This is like a horror movie stuff, man. This is. Oh my God, that's. Oh.
You start praising him that it's a done deal, and then you just stand. You know, sometimes the scripture.
how do I turn that off?
How does this happen in America?
Take the stand. It says over in
Seriously.
And your family, you lost your brother since I was here last.
Come on, Ray. Come out on the porch.
Tell me about your brother.
Get out on the porch.
Who's that now in the car? Look, somebody in like a normal car just pulled up. Look at that. Oh, God. Imagine what it smells like. Imagine what they smell like. I can't imagine. Hey, Ray. He's a Yankee fan. See, they got a nice red Pontiac Sunbird right there. That's how'd they get that?
What's your favorite memory, Ray? Do you remember anything about your life?
Hey.
And you lost your other brother.
Okay, so there you go. That's basically all we need to show of that stuff. Whoa. The whole video you can watch. The whole video's on YouTube. It's one thing to sit here and watch that and then feel better about yourself, right? The old Jerry Springer phenomenon, why the Jerry Springer show was so popular, why those kinds of shows were so popular. Because they aired during the day. They aired during the day to an audience of people who weren't really in the mainstream. Maybe they were unemployed. Maybe they lacked direction. But whatever it is, you're home on your couch watching TV at 2 o'clock. And the Jerry Springer producers knew that. So the idea became, we got nothing but losers watching us. How do we make our losers watching us feel better about themselves? So the Jerry Springer show just put on a whole bunch of really awful people so that no matter how bad your shit was at the time, you could be on your couch watching Jerry Springer, eating a bowl of cereal at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and going, well, at least I'm not that guy, right? That's the idea. So it's very difficult when you watch video like that to be able to stow that initial emotion, that initial reaction of, oh, these people, and like want to make fun of them. And that's fine. I suppose there's a place for that. But man, right behind that, right? A big giant Mack truck right behind that for me. Because yeah, that was my first inclination. My first inclination was, oh my God, look at these people. Oh, what is that? It's so gross. Oh, these people are so less than me. And oh my God, I'm so glad that I'm not there, right? That's the first thing. But right behind that, like a Mack truck is, holy shit, these are human beings in the United States of America. I'm sorry, but you cannot tell me that there is any difference between that and the way we used to think about and talk about people in the Middle East. Oh, they just live in caves. Oh, they just backward ass live in caves. We've got that same issue here in this country. I mean, those people, look, not for nothing, but we talk a lot now about like mental health and people getting the help that they need. Obviously, those people fell through the cracks. That's the American cracks in the system right there. Did the when those people were, when that dude, that old man first started barking like a dog at 6, was there some county service that maybe they could have sent him to? Or a doctor might have been like, okay, we got to make him stop barking like a dog because we can't have a 75-year-old man eating a hunk of bread barking like a dog in 2023. That's unbelievable. And gross, just disturbing and gross in the black and white pictures that guy took. Those are human beings. And it's like, oh my God, how can you live like that? In the one picture that they showed, I don't know if the black and white one, I mean, they caught the one dude with the drool coming out. He's literally a drool case. The drool is just falling from his mouth. He's like, brr. And their eyes go in different directions and just, God. Anyway, there you go. That's the Whitakers. And when I went to bed last night, I had no idea that the Whitakers were a thing. And now I know that they're a thing, and I don't know that I'm all the better for it. I don't know that my life has been improved in any way. Whew. What is Adam getting into? Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm gonna see what we got in the chat room going on here. Jeff Ballard says, over the weekend, I guess, the kid and I fell asleep watching The Great Escape, and I thought the tornado siren was the air raid siren in the movie. Nah, The Great Escape. Did what was it? Did you have to force him to? Is this a boy or a girl? I know you got a beautiful little cutie little girl, I think, right? My son fights me on everything. He doesn't fight me on baseball. That's the thing. It's like, I'm going to watch a game. He's like, oh, I'll watch the game with you. I'm like, done. Try to get him to watch Cannonball Run. He's like, I'm not going to watch some stupid movie made in the 80s. No. What else do we have here? Kevin Barber saw Sebastian Bach as Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. That's fun. Yeah, he's made it to Sebastian Bach from What Skid Row have? What are they? 18 in life and counting. 18 in life to go. Your crime is time, and it's 18 in life to go. Some do Jesus Christ, come on, superstar. Was it like that? I imagine it was something like that. Whitney says, I'm bummed that I couldn't come Friday. Anyone here make it out? I only met Brandon, and there were 2 other listeners who said they catch the show on YouTube who came out. That was very nice. But no, none of you, none of my close friends from the chat room every day was there. Brandon's in the chat room sometimes. He came out. So no, you didn't miss anything, Whitney. We had a good time. We had a nice time. We'll catch you next time. We decided that was so much fun that we're gonna try and do that. We're gonna try and do that. We'll do that somewhere closer in town. You know, maybe we'll do an event. Like, we can do an event. No, we can't. What, we're not gonna do an event? Fuck. Delusions of grandeur. Let's see here. What else do we have? Adam Reyna says he saw Pete Holmes this weekend at the House of Blues. Was a great show. I'm not a big Pete Holmes fan. He seems like a likable sort. He seems like a good dude. I didn't love the show Crashing. I tried to watch it. You know, I think I got through the first season. I don't think I ever went back for anything more. Pete Holmes seems really nice. I don't know why his comedy, I'm not great on the comedy, but I'm glad you had a good time. And I'm glad to see that they're doing comedy at the House of Blues. That's cool. Yeah, we had Taylor Swift this weekend, right? Wasn't there like some possible problem because there was a Taylor Swift concert, Rangers opening weekend, Wet n Wild, and Six Flags had something, I don't know, something crazy all happening on the same exit. Look, I know it's not all the same exit, but it basically is the same exit. The way they designed Arlington and then put everything that people from other places want to go accessible by the same exit. It's like, my God, I hate Arlington. I mean, I love Arlington, but I hate Arlington. It's so hard to get in and out of, man. It is like, upcoming exit, Texas Rangers baseball stadium, Dallas Cowboys baseball stadium, Six Flags, Wet n Wild, soccer stadium, old baseball stadium, all the same exit. It's like, gee, I wonder if there's going to be a traffic jam there on this beautiful sunny afternoon in the baseball season with Taylor Swift in town. Who knows? What else do we have? Kevin, we're talking about the Whitakers. Kevin says, how the hell do they get cars and food? I know. Somebody had to go and... where did the cash come from for the car? How do they make money? I mean, there's got to be some kind... Look, there's got to be some kind of connection to the government because they've got to be on government aid. I mean, all the people in those counties are. So somebody over time must have gotten them to a situation where they're getting checks, right? So they're just living that way and cashing the government checks, and that's pretty much what they're able to eke by on. They got a sweet-ass Sunbird there, though. Nice 86 Pontiac Sunbird or whatever it was. I don't know. Michael Almanza. He says, I saw a clip of Mark with Soft White Underbelly on the Rogan podcast not that long ago. Yeah, I did see that, and I actually saved it. Apparently, the guy who went and visited these Whitaker people and took that video and put together the book of photos, apparently he was recently on Joe Rogan telling the whole story. So I'm going to go back and listen to that because now I'm really, really obsessed with this stuff. What do we got? Uh-oh. Child abduction, Gonzales, Texas. Victim is a 12-year-old Hispanic female, Aliana Hernandez, who was last seen wearing glasses, white blouse, bell-bottom blue jeans, and white shoes. May possibly be traveling north from Gonzales, Texas. Call 911 with information. And there you go. Did you all get that? Did everybody else get that too? Or is it just me? I don't know how this works. I don't know how these Amber Alerts work. Because I have been sitting there, like my kid and I, for instance, there was like a severe weather alert on both of our phones. And my severe weather alert never went off. His went off. His went off, and he's like, look, Dad. And I'm like, yeah. Mine never went off. I don't know. Let's see here. Whitney, but be sure, next time we do something, you'll come out. You best. Hugh, what do you say? What's that, a Facebook page you got there, Hugh? I don't know what that is, but he says it's depressing, so, I will not be tempted to click on it. Kevin also says about the Whitakers there in that little clip that we saw, the dogs are the most put-together creatures there. They must be running the show. Yeah. The dogs seem to be doing all the teaching, because one of them dudes speaks dog, apparently. Byron says, I dig that the locals protect these people. The alternative for them would not be good. They seem happy. Yeah, that is kind of a nice kind of thing that there are. But I couldn't help but think they're like, yeah, the neighbors, if you go up and start pestering these people, like you want to take pictures and stuff, the neighbors will show up with shotguns and they will chase you off. And that's really nice, because we're thinking, oh, I bet those neighbors are really nice. I bet those neighbors are awful too. I mean, it can't be. I know that the Whitakers are a special case, but the neighbors, like meth lab biker. I'm just saying, the whole neighborhood is probably sketchy as shit. But that is kind of nice. That is kind of nice how they protect each other. Let's see, what else do we have here in the chat room today? The comparison to the whites of West Virginia. You remember the whites? You ever see The Wild Whites of West Virginia? Whatever, it was a documentary from a number of years ago. They were like clog dancers. Like they were actually, the whites of West Virginia is a really crazy story, because they're terrible, sad, inbred, poor trash from the mountains. But in that region, they're actually famous because they're like clog dancers, like that whole thing. But they're also like junkies, and I don't know. But yes, who was it? Somebody in the chat room said that the Whitakers are a whole nother thing from the whites. The whites are like the neighbors. There you go. We were talking about the neighbors who come running out with the shotguns. Those are the whites. They're in their own right quite interesting. But, when you compare them to the Whitakers, like the Whitakers are like feral people. They're like half animals. I don't know. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I think we're going to be done. Tonight on the... Tonight on the Pugs and Parker stream with E, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to continue our run of interviews with people regarding Live 105.3 and what that was all like. And to that end, we've got a very special guest, somebody I've been chasing for a while, because they're fascinating people and someone who I really want to talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, Dallas-Fort Worth broadcast icon, Jody Dean. Jody Dean, anchorman from CBS 11 News. I used to see Jody on the news and go, how come he's allowed to have a beard? Because, you can't have a beard on TV. He had a beard on TV. That was a pretty big thing. Him and Wolf Blitzer. We'll talk to him. He, of course, morning man at KRLD for all those years, worked with the legendary Ron Chapman. So as far as the landscape of Dallas radio, we're going to talk to Jody Dean about what was going on in the market at 105.3 and how he, as someone at another station within the same company, he was a high up at CBS Radio. So same company, and he had access to a different level of like opinion and management opinion and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk to him all about like, what did the great legendary Ron Chapman think of 105.3? Because it was a completely different kind of station, and Ron Chapman was in charge of it. Ron Chapman was the most important guy at CBS Radio when they decided to give it a try and launch 105.3. For my Chicago friends, Ron Chapman is like Bob Collins. Like imagine Bob Collins. Imagine in Dallas, except Ron Chapman never flew his plane into an old folks home. Ron Chapman. So Ron Chapman was in charge. Jody Dean, certainly Ron Chapman's right-hand man for all those years, and a very big media personality in his own right. He's going to join us tonight at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, Jody Dean joins us. Very excited for this one. I love Jody. He's such an interesting guy. Smart guy. He is like, Jody Dean to me is like the quintessential Texas man. You know? He's Texas all the way through. Yeah, football player, athlete in his younger days. Smart, really smart, super smart, like too smart, but with that homespun sort of Texas folksy gentleman kind of thing. Open-minded, yeah, a man of faith, very faithful man, but not a crazy person. Like he's a man of faith, and he's probably a conservative Texan, but I certainly don't expect to see him, January 6th defendant or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's just a really well-rounded, decent, smart guy, and I look forward to talking to him tonight. Jody Dean, tonight, 9 o'clock on the Pugs and Parker Show. All right, I want to put this down again because tips are getting real important this month especially. If there's anything you can drop in the tip line for the show, help us keep going, that would be great. I love you guys. You keep us going. I love doing this every day. We're going to keep it going until I need to get a job. And that's getting close. Actually, I'm getting some job offers too, which is interesting. Not in radio, but So, help us out if you can. We do these shows 5 days a week, at least 2 hours. Just crossed the 2-hour mark on today's show. And then we also do the Pugs and Parker stream. So, there you go. Tip a little something if you can. Other than that, come on back tonight at 9 o'clock for Jody Dean with me, James Parker, and E. And that's it. You know I love you. My ankle's still messed up, though. Seriously messed up. It's now turning blue. Like, you know, the colors will change over the first 24 hours. So, oh my God, it's 2:15. So this occurred yesterday at about 2:30 in the afternoon. So we are about 24 hours into this. I have no air conditioning. It's 100 degrees currently up here, and I'm sweating like a pig. I've got to go to the store. I got to do running around. All right, I love you guys. Be well. Bye.